I have a 10-step writing process that I use. It's grown over time and changed over time. And it kind of all started when Dan Coe, I don't know if you know Dan, actually, I reached out to him many, many, many months ago. And we had started a relationship because I was on his YouTube podcast and we became friends. And I said, hey, man, I'm curious as to what your writing process is. And he sent me over like this 3 or 4 step process that he went through. And it wasn't the right process for me. It was super helpful. It just wasn't right for me. And so I took that and I massaged it into this larger 10-step process that sort of encapsulates everything that I do. So it's pretty simple. Step 1 is idea capture. So there are 2 30-minute blocks on my calendar every week for me to sit down and ideate. So I ideate anyways. When it's just like something comes into my mind, I jot it down in Notion. But I actually take the time to be focused on ideation. Surfing YouTube channels, reading curated newsletters, checking out blog postings, reading the news, just something to get my brain working, right? Yeah. And so I will throw all of those ideas into Notion. That's sort of step 1. Step 2 is I'll do research. So I'll usually pick one of those topics. So, how to network online, right? I'll do research. I know how I network online. And I think that I can write a good newsletter based on what I do, but it's always nice to find out how other people do things and what they do differently and better and worse and things like that. So I'll go out and I'll read tweets, I'll read articles, blogs on, in this example, how to network online. So I'll just do some research and I'll put some tweet URLs and some blog articles into my research tab on Notion. Once I've researched it, I'll open up my newsletter template and I write a newsletter every Saturday at 8 in the morning. It's a template. It's the same thing every single Saturday. Nobody notices, but it is generally a problem and a 4 or 5 step solution. So I have a template that I can literally write the headlines and write the newsletter. It takes me less than 45 minutes to write my newsletter every Monday. Once I've written my newsletter, that's step 3. I do step 4, which is editing. So I'll usually go away for a few hours because I don't like to edit right after I've written. Yeah. And I'll push my newsletter issue through a 4-question editing process that makes sure I've done things like delivered on the promise, not meandered, put all the different links in the appropriate ways, added visuals, all the things that make a newsletter more compelling. That's step 4. Step 5 is my pre-newsletter CTA. So since my newsletter comes out on Saturday, every Friday I tease it. Pre-newsletter CTA. Opening statement, 4 different things, catchy takeaway. Tomorrow, 36,127 people learn how to do X. Make sure you don't miss it. Link to the newsletter, right? That's step, I think, 5. Step 6 is a post-newsletter CTA. So every Sunday I say, hey, did you miss yesterday's issue? 36,127 people learned how to do X. Go back and make sure you read it. Step 7 is where like the content writing gets really interesting. Since I have a newsletter topic already picked out, I can then turn that topic into micro content. Yeah. So the first thing that I do is I turn it into a story. And my story has a 5-step process: pain, agitate, intrigue, positive future, and solution. So I use those prompts to write a story. Then I turn it into an observation, a contrarian take, a listicle, a present versus future. And then I copy and paste the newsletter into Hype Fury and turn it into a tweet thread.
Nice.
And then I distribute the tweet thread, screenshot it, turn it into a LinkedIn carousel. And then I publish. And by publishing, what I do is I stagger in my publishing tool. Now I have 6 to 8 pieces of content directly related to a newsletter topic that I stagger over the next 6 to 8 weeks. And since it's a hub and spoke model, I can connect all of those spokes back to the hub, therefore deplatforming my audience off of social media onto my website where they can buy my products and services. And that's step 10.
Okay, I gotta look at this.
That was a lot.
Real act. I gotta look at it in real time. I just subscribed to your newsletter. Looking forward to kind of like seeing this in action and also getting like your newsletters as well. And it does remind me of kind of like just like distribution, because it's one thing to like create content. It's another thing to actually have it done in a systemized way where you can distribute it to all the different channels. Is there some, are you actually looking to get into maybe like longer form type of content creation, things like podcasting, things like YouTube?
Probably not. Okay. Maybe I never say no. My big mantra on content is do what you like, and I like to write.
Gotcha. So it's more like blog post writing, doing that every single day, honing your craft and just focusing on that and getting really good at that then.
Yes,
I feel
for
like I'm
sure.
doing way too much right now. I'm doing like
Me too.
podcasting, YouTube, and like, and also writing in the newsletter. What you're doing right now sounds very structured and also quite simple. From a at least from my perspective of things. Yeah, man, simple actually is way better than complicated and trying to like have your hand in like so many hats all at the same time.
I just don't like waking up each day without knowing what to do to move the ball forward. And
Yeah.
so the systems that I've created essentially, I wake up, I do my thing, go work out, come back, and it's like, I know exactly what I'm doing today. Like, exactly. And therefore, it's like when you don't have to think about what you're doing, your brain has more freedom, I think, to be creative.
Mm,
And the systems and processes are there when you're not feeling it as a
gotcha.
safety net.
Gotcha. What would you say is like one system in your business that has completely changed the way that you've done business? That we talked about, kind of like your content system right now. Is there any other systems that come to mind that you hold near and dear to yourself?
Boy, that's a really good question. I would say the content system is probably the biggest thing that I've done for my business. It's
Mm,
3x my daily revenue, 2.5x my daily revenue. That's not exactly true. And so that's been a huge win for me, almost exactly 2.5x my daily revenue. That's been really big for me. And then another system that's been really big for me is I leverage a tool called Black Magic on
mhm,
Twitter. Um, it's blackmagic.so. And that allows me to essentially curate a list of favorite people. So I have maybe 20 to 25 Twitter accounts I really like. And off of the platform of Twitter, I can actually see in one very small window on the side of it's a plugin
mm,
where I can see how many tweets they've tweeted in the last 6 hours that I haven't replied to. And then inside of the plugin, I can reply in rapid fire. And with one button, I can reply and like their stuff. So 2 times a day for 15 minutes, I go through my favorites and I, when relevant, reply to all their tweets.
yeah.
And I grow really fast just through engagement that way. And so that's something that I've stuck to twice a day.
Dude, I got you're dropping some like gems right now, especially from like a Twitter angle. I haven't heard of Blackmagic.so.
I'll send you a
So
loom on how it works.
yeah, that'd be so dope.